Hello, welcome to the Media Club. I'm your host, Matt Deegan, and today we are live on location at the ARIAS, that's the Radio Industry Awards here in London's Leicester Square. On the show today, we're going to be catching up with the person in charge of that, Aradhna Tayal Leach. Also, we're going to speak to the controller of BBC Radio 3, Sam Jackson, on his RAJAR figures, and what he thinks he'll do winning-wise here at the ARIAS today. Of course, big radio day, because not only is it the ARIAS, RAJAR figures are out to the radio stations and they'll be out to the public very soon. So I'm sure we'll be diving into that too. So, come on in. Sam and Aradhna join me here at the ARIAS. Hello, it's your party. Thank you for inviting us.
You're very welcome anytime. I like to take over Leicester Square when I have the opportunity.
It's a very, very good place to take over. So got to try and keep some format points, even though there's lots of noise around us. Tell us who you'd like to invite into the club this week.
Well, I would love to have Dixie Stewart in the club. Dixie is a fellow of the Radio Academy, former trustee. She's co-chair of the Radio Academy Festival and, of course, has many, many years of service in audio across commercial, BBC, most recently leading a TV and film company, which, of course, she immediately started a podcast arm. And delighted that she's going to be acting MD while I go and look after the little one.
More delivery. Well, somebody who runs a children's radio station. I'm over the moon when there's more children.
More listeners.
So that's good, that's good. Also joining us, Sam Jackson, controller of Radio 3. Thank you for coming down. You just hot visited from Salford.
I have. So in Salford for a big speech that Tim Davie was doing about the kind of the state of the nation, the BBC, where we're at. So it's been a busy day, but great to be here.
And who would you like to join, who would you like to add to our club roles this week?
So my choice is somebody called Grace Meadows, who is a really extraordinary woman. She runs a charity called Music Minds Matter, which is the sister charity of Help Musicians that I'm a trustee of. And what they do is remarkable. They support anybody working in music. So that can be musicians, but it could also be people in broadcasting, in radio, TV, podcast, wherever, who are working in music, having a bit of a tough time and needing mental health support. And the work that Music Minds Matter does and is doing, I think, is really exciting. So she's my pick.
I mean, the whole sector really, that's so based on freelancers, and musicians are often freelancers too. It's a unique set of challenges.
It really is, and people can sometimes think that musicians have quite the privileged life because they see musicians at the very top of their game, and that's brilliant when people reach the top. But obviously for every big name act who's there at the very front, there will be musicians supporting them behind. There will be orchestras full of people who are freelance. There will be bands. There will be, all sorts of ensembles, and often people are struggling to make ends meet. And as you know, Matt, working in the music industry is also high pressure if you're a label or you're a radio station or you're putting on a festival. So it's a really great cause.
I mean, mental health, freelancers and radio sector faces similar issues too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important because freelancers are the lifeblood of our industry. Across the media and entertainment sector, we just wouldn't exist without them. And if we're not looking after our people, then we're not looking after our industry. It's something that obviously at the Radio Academy, that's what we're about, looking after every single person. Whatever level, whether you're entry level, whether you're the most senior person in audio, we all have our personal needs, we all need development, and we all need looking after and someone to talk to. It's really important.
So double bubble of radio events. So we've got RAJAR coming out and we've got the ARIAS tonight. It's important to celebrate people's success. We had the BAFTAs last week. What kind of nominees have we got tonight?
I think more and more our audio community is coming together across radio, podcasting, music, audiobooks, and I think that's really reflected in this year's ARIAS nomination list. It's so important to see the breadth and diversity across UK audio, which is world leading, and it's that breadth and diversity that gets us there. And this isn't about, who's won over who, of course it is. But it's all about the fact that we're coming here together to celebrate together.
Sam, is it the taking part that counts, or what are you looking at to try and win tonight?
Oh, it's absolutely not the taking part that counts. Who are we kidding? I mean, look, it's lovely to be nominated, and there is that sense that if you don't win, we were robbed. But, we're really excited at Radio 3 to have these 7 nominations, and for them to be spread across categories that people might not have expected to see Radio 3 in before. We have Jules Holland up against Simon Mayo, and we have our breakfast presenter, Petrol Trelawney, nominated for breakfast. And we're also in the one I'm really pleased about, the Sonic Branding Award we're in for Radio 3 Unwind. And so the team are really buoyed up by that. The Station of the Year nomination is lovely. I'm rooting for Fun Kids alongside Radio 3. You know, both of us former Fun Kids presenters, Matt. I think, you know, if Fun Kids win, that's the acceptable face of coming second for me, I would say.
Well, that's fine, I'll take that. That's okay, that's all right. Also, RAJAR, obviously you're a relatively new controller, a couple of 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
So these are very much your figures now. Not a bad result today.
No, I mean, we're very happy, and we've now had 5 consecutive quarters of year-on-year growth, and we launched our new schedule back in April, and that was the biggest change in 40 years at Radio 3, and it wasn't without, you know, its eyebrow-raising moments for some, and that's because audiences care, and the moment they stop caring is the moment we should worry. But I'm really, really pleased that we've seen significant growth right across the schedule, you know, double-digit percentage growth in every part of our output, pretty much. And, you know, RAJAR, we all know, it can go down as well as go up. You can't be complacent. And for us, it's not only about numbers, but the thing I'm really pleased about is, you know, this was a quarter in which we broadcast from Auschwitz. It was a quarter in which we were doing a European road trip and we were launching a new series about modernism. It wasn't a quarter where we played it safe. So to see that the audience really went with us and we drew people in, it's really heartening.
So it's up to about 2.1 million, I think, on reach. Hours pretty solid. Radio 3's always been around 2 million. Do you think you can push it up, or are you looking to add more reach with Unwind and other stations?
So I think we could push it up further. Always the challenge and the balance is we could very easily grow the reach simply by playing it a bit safer, not going to those places that others don't choose to go. And we deliberately go there because we're publicly funded, and that's what the BBC is meant to offer. But I'm convinced that there are many more people who would love what Radio 3 has to offer. I mean, we went over 1 million listeners for our mid-morning programme, Essential Classics, for the first time ever. That's really heartening, and we're doing quite a bit of work at the BBC to point people at the end of the Today programme to Radio 3 and say, if you've had your fill of news, why not try Radio 3?
For those like us conversations, Mohit, can I just have some of your listeners?
Oh, he loves it. No, we had a good conversation about it this week, and actually we had a really interesting chat about what does cross-promotion look like nowadays at the BBC? How are audiences consuming radio, and what can we do to point them towards things in a way that crucially doesn't irritate? We have to make sure that we're telling them about things they want to hear about. But I know, I mean, from conversations I've had with Today programme presenters, they quite like pointing to Radio 3 at the end of the programme. It's something a little bit different. So I absolutely think we could grow. Numbers aren't everything. We're not just chasing a reach figure of 2.5 or 3 million or whatever, but certainly with Radio 3 Unwind, I mean, we had in the first week of the year alone nearly 150,000 accounts accessing Unwind on BBC Sound. So we know there's an audience there for the sort of broader Radio 3 brand.
I mean, Aradhna, the radio industry has changed quite a lot over the last 10 years. It's less about competition in cities. People are using spin-off brands to grow network reach. Global had some great figures with Heart. I mean, it's quite tough for a radio sector to cope with that change. Also, I guess for listeners, they've probably never had it so good.
Yeah, well, I think this last year in particular, but obviously a trend over the last few years, has been having station brand extensions and, you know, just being able to therefore hone in and give audiences more choice, but also kind of more streamlined. This is what we like, this is what we want to listen to. And I think that it feels like that's kind of done now. You know, there's been a lot of stations coming together, a lot of consolidation. So it has been a lot of change in the radio industry. Listener figures are still really high that show how important radio is in society and with audiences, with listeners, which is really heartening to see. I think there is also, just going back to, you know, radio, podcasting, other areas of audiobooks, music, the fact that audio in its entirety is taking so much more of the market share now, when there are so many other demands on our attention, is really heartening. And I think radio stations leaning into that ability to be able to cross over both has been really powerful, and listening to audiences saying, you know what, we want a 60s channel, okay, well, let's have a 60s channel then. We have the ability to do that and still bring people through radio to our brands.
Sam, we're sort of celebrating creativity tonight, great ideas, great programmes. Is there a danger sometimes that spin-offs are not quite lowest common denominator, but they both don't have the creativity that those like sort of mothership radio stations have?
I think that's definitely something you have to watch out for, and I think that, if you look at spin-off stations, very often what they're offering, whether that be the ones that we've launched at the BBC or whether it be within commercial radio, they will offer a uniformity of something. It might be a decade, it might be that you're only getting 80s music, it may be in the case of Radio 3 Unwind, but you're having music of a particular mood, a particular soundscape, as it were, and so it's therefore even more important that within that there's genuine variety, that we have, in our case, a lot of British composers, that we have a lot of relatively recent releases, that we make sure the depth of repertoire is really significant and different to what you would get from a Spotify playlist or from a commercial station. So it's definitely something that we're aware of. I think there's also something of a tension there in terms of audiences, because equally some audiences love that absolute clarity, and you look at the success of a brand like Heart, which has a very, very, very tight playlist for 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, but are very successful in that. So there's a bit of tension there, but certainly from my point of view, we have to be offering something different, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to jump in to the ARIAs now. You can take your seats, have a nice time. But do come back for the Audio Network Media Quiz. We'll see how much attention you've been paying to the media this week. We'll see you in a sec. So I found a couple of Goalhanger founders, Tony Pastor and Jack Davenport. Hello.
Hello.
Congratulations, Audio Brand of the Year. That's pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honour to get something like this from the Radio Academy. In what feels like we've only just got started, barely 3 years since we formed the company. So yeah, a massive honour.
And what do you think it was that made you win?
I hope it's because audiences, communities of people have really enjoyed our shows, and they've been talked about. It was an amazing year last year. It helped enormously. We had an incredible year of politics, of sport. We had a Euros. We had the presidential election in the US, and all of our content seemed to find a way to cut through and find really warm and engaged audiences.
So great to have the audience. Also quite nice to have some money to pay for it all. You've been campaigning quite a lot with agencies and trying to educate them about podcasting. Do you think there's still more that they need to learn?
Yes, I do. I mean, I think that when you look at the nature of our audience, it's younger than almost every other form of traditional media. It's super engaged. I sound like I'm doing an advert here, but basically,
do the pitch.
We average 41 minutes a time from each listener, so that people are really enjoying the content for lengthy periods of time. And yeah, I do feel that the media buying world hasn't really caught on to the fact and the opportunity yet.
So huge success in the UK, America's doing quite well, Australia's doing quite well. Is the US a big push? Do you want to go more countries?
Of course, absolutely. So we've built quite a decent audience in the US on our history podcasts already. So we're trying to branch out into more subjects that work internationally, like history. We've recently launched a The Rest is Classified, a spying history podcast. That works really well for us, and we're trying to identify other areas that make sense for us to really target that US audience. So potentially thinking about what soccer looks like over there leading up to the World Cup next year, and huge potential market, and one that we'd really like to be deeper into than we are.
So still a lot of opportunity around the world. Would it help to have a cash infusion from other parties to get involved?
I mean, we read a lot about these kind of potential investment opportunities. The truth is, we've been spoken to by or approached by a number of them so far. We've told them all we're not ready or interested at this time. We've got a massive job on our hands. Jack and I work flat out. It's like non-stop. We're really concentrating on what we're doing. We did 63 million downloads last month. From a relatively small team of 47 people. It takes a lot of work and effort, and that is absolutely the focus of our minds now.
Congratulations, Goalhanger, Audio Brand of the Year.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt.
Hot off the stage, Angela Scanlon. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very good to presenting an award there.
Yes.
But you've been pretty busy yourself with a new podcast. Mm-hmm. How's it going?
It's going really well. We just recorded our second episode. It's been a bit of a baptism of fire. And it's great. It's spicy and a bit wild, and like most female group chats,
and
if they'd let you into them.
And a great co-host.
and a great co-host, myself and Vicky Patterson. I kind of describe us as chalk and cheese, but also kindred spirits, which is quite a heady mix.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but it seems to work.
You've done podcasts in the past,
Yes.
says radio and telly in the past.
Yeah.
What's it like having something every week to come and do? That's a bit of a different challenge.
It is definitely a different challenge, and I have historically been a massive commitment phobe, but I have been doing radio now on Virgin Radio, so I do a weekend breakfast show, so that has kind of broken, it for me slightly.
Yes.
I'm less terrified about showing up to the same thing every day, because I genuinely had it in my head. I was like, if I'm going to do this wild thing, then why would I have a job that I have to show up to every week? So I always felt a bit like stifled by that, but actually having done Virgin, I realised the value of that commitment and dialogue and the recurring chats and the revealing and knowing yourself and your audience knowing you, and there's a kind of proper sense of an intimate chat, which I think definitely feeds into the podcast too.
And who's in charge, you or Vicky?
It depends. I did have to. We went to the BAFTAs the other day together, and I had to borrow her knickers. So she is organised in many ways, but she's also always late, and she has to be edited a bit more than I do. I would say.
Tell you?
That's what they tell. That's what they tell me. Yes, nice. Yeah, that is what they tell. Do you think they know? Yeah. No, I feel like we have our own strengths.
Yin and yang.
We're yin and yang, babe.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Angela Scanlon, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Brett Spencer. I am one of the executive editors of BBC Three Counties Radio and BBC Northampton.
And I'm Helen Grimes. I'm also the executive editor of BBC Three Counties Radio and BBC Radio Northampton. We job share. We think we are probably pretty unique in being the most senior job share in the BBC.
I think we're the most senior job share in the whole BBC.
Radio Times Moment of the Year, BBC Three Counties, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What was the moment?
A listener suggested that Coldplay, when they were coming to Radio 1's big weekend, couldn't perform the song Yellow because yellow is the colour of Watford Football Club, and Luton are the big rivals, and they should change it to orange. And this kind of caught light, and we got lots of coverage for it, and it reached Coldplay. And then on the night of big weekend, they performed a brand new song that they'd written called Orange, all about Luton, the people of Luton and the football club. It was amazing.
So how do you activate listeners to vote for you in something like this?
I think it probably helped that Coldplay shared it on their social media, and I think they're quite popular, and maybe their fans. We have to I don't know, Radio Times listeners or Coldplay fans, don't know which is the bigger audience.
It is great to get a response from people for great radio.
Absolutely, and it shows you the power of local radio. We've seen BBC Merseyside win 2 awards tonight for Best Breakfast Show and for news coverage, and there's a connection between local radio and the audience that, as I mentioned in my speech, that is just really special, that is unlike anything else.
Brett and Helen, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Jon Holmes, you've just won another award for the skewer.
Is it boring now? Is it?
Is this number 97? Do you count them?
I mean, no. Oh. That would be rude and uncouth, wouldn't it?
Where do they live?
There are some on shelves.
Okay, good.
But I will be honest with you, some are just on the floor now. Not as bad. Years ago, I kid you not, right? My first ever ARIA, and I'm going back to when I was a presenter on Power FM.
Okay.
On the South Coast, so that dates it. We won Best Entertainment that year.
Was that because you put a squirrel through the doors of the...
You know the story. Yes. That might have been in the entry. It went through someone's letterbox, is what it did. Anyway, it was different times. But that award, of course, the radio station kept it.
Yes.
And years later, the ARIA, right, somebody working at Power FM messaged me, or emailed me, as it would have been, and said, look, I used to listen to your show. And it got me into radio. I had a love of radio because of listening to your Sunday night show on Power FM, which is all we want, right? Yes. That's a brilliant thing. And they said, I now work here, and I thought you might like to know that your ARIA award is propping open a fire exit, and sent me a photo of it doing exactly that. It might if Power hadn't been bought and closed and subsumed into the, that, it might still be there. I don't know where it is.
I like that he sent you the photo, but not the award. Not the award. He could have done.
Hey, someone's got a proper fire exit open, and I like that it was me. People may have survived because of my win.
Breaking the fire regulations in Fareham.
Absolutely right.
it's always nice to win an award. The show's done really well. Skewer, what series are you on now?
We're in the middle of 13. As I speak to you, episode 5 of Series 13 is going out tonight, Wednesday, on Radio 4, and then we're back for Series 14 in the autumn.
Why do you think it keeps winning those awards?
I don't know. Well, because it's really good, Matt. No, I don't know.
Is it because you've got great material?
It's all I do really is curate the whole thing, right? I have a fantastic team of writers and contributors and people from, some of whom are here tonight, part of the team over here, and Tony over there who does the sound design for us, Katie, one of our lead writers, and we've got I think we have, because we've looked into this, we have given over 100 now brand new writers their first ever broadcast credit.
That's amazing.
And no other show has done that. And a lot of them are women. And women in comedy is brilliant and should be encouraged and
still quite tough.
Yet we've had this series, I think, credits where it's more women than men, which is fantastic because it's a show that not everyone can write for, but when you get it, you get it, and it's an open door policy. And I'm absolutely about encouraging new talent because we were all there once, and that's what I want to do. That's sort of what propping open fire doors, whatever it might be. I think these people are chasing. We're old, Matt. People are chasing us now. We might as well embrace their talent and use it.
And funny's funny.
Funny is funny. Funny wins out, apparently.
Hello Media Club listeners, Patrick here from Podcast Discovery, the podcast marketing company. Did you know that we take care of all of the social and video for a number of our clients' podcasts, including the Media Club? You can take a look at our handiwork by heading to the Media Club on your social media of choice. And for anything else to do with podcast marketing, head to podcastdiscovery.com. That's podcastdiscovery.com.
Welcome back. Before we head back to the red carpet to interview some of our winners, how about some quick news in brief? The Mail's fashion brand Eliza has ditched its website to focus on socials, just as the newspaper group revealed it's seen a massive reduction in click-throughs since Google AI summaries began. They were speaking at the 3rd annual Sahari Summit, where the general consensus was search is going off a cliff. The rumoured Redbird IMI deal to buy ITV has started to go cold. That's according to a new deep dive by Deadline. It covers an interesting AGM for the broadcaster on Tuesday, accosted on multiple occasions by shareholders questioning the static share price. Chairman Andrew Kostler was heard to say, if someone approaches with an offer, we have to take interest, and it's very clear from the room that there are lots of people interested in getting the share price up. And the BBC has announced its talent must comply with the new anti-bullying standard if it's to work for the corporation. The move by DG Tim Davie will be seen as a response to recent scandals and an independent report that showed little progress on tackling big stars and executives. Links to all these stories and more are available on our Substack. Just head to themediaclub.com to sign up for free. That's themediaclub.com. Right, let's get back into the throng. Andy Roberts from Bauer and Greatest Hits Radio, you've just won an award. This is a very special award.
I'm absolutely flabbergasted, honestly. I've been saying we're so focused on coming here for, Network of the Year, up against your good selves with Fun Kids. And I'm completely blown away. I just would never have imagined that this would happen. It just reminds me how lucky I've been to work with so many incredible people over the years and so many incredible formats, from XFM to Spin in Dublin and sort of having the opportunity to get that brand to number one in that amazing city, and then and Greatest Hits Radio, I really feel like it's just the greatest thing that I've had the opportunity to do, and to be able to launch something, from scratch and build it, and then build it to where we are now, and to have the likes of Ken and Simon and all of the great presenters we have. It's a real honour, It's a privilege to run a network like Greatest Hits Radio.
So, Ken Bruce, what's he like as a boss?
Dreadful. No, honestly, no. It's not like working for somebody, it's working with somebody. With Andy, because he's not the traditional idea of a boss. He's somebody who understands the so-called talent. He helps us, he supports us, but he treats us as equals, even though we're not. But he's just a people person, and that shows in his management style. But to have built Greatest Hits Radio from nothing to where it is now in such a short time It's just testament to the abilities of this man and the love and understanding he has for the medium of radio. It's just buried deep in his soul and comes out every day in everything he does.
So a bit of maths, I think 35 years in radio?
At
It's
least.
probably about
Your
that.
maths is probably better than mine, but yeah, at least. Do we work it out in quarters? It's over 100.
RAJAR days.
Yeah.
Well,
over 100
it is
RAJAR
Radio
days.
Day. That's pretty good for Grady 6 Radio today.
Yeah, not bad. I think we obviously have had this. Throughout the journey of Great Six Radio, we've obviously taken over a lot of licenses, and as you know, that's quite a tough job from a people point of view, but also from an audience point of view. And there's always churn, and sometimes you have to go back a bit to go forward. And I think obviously the Wave thing that we did a year ago was a big one, and a really big TSA. And I think we're starting to see that turnaround, but there's obviously a knock-on effect from a year down the line, sort of losing some of that heritage audience. So yeah, I think I think we've got a really, really solid base to grow from now, and our listenership is so loyal. When people come in, they really do love it and they stay, don't they? And I think that's testament to what the network is.
And there's quite a family of stations now. Obviously 60s, is it RAJAR, also 70s and 80s now.
Really good score
for
60s. We're really delighted with that, and there's some great shows, not least Ken Bruce's Secret 60s. Like to have 70s and 80s as well. I think it gives us an opportunity to dive even deeper into those decades, for the people that want it. And it's very early days for that, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
So 35 years for Andy, Ken. You've done a few years yourself. Any more advice for the next 35?
Yeah, well, the thing is, Andy enjoys what he does. It's hard work, and he sweats over it a lot, but he really loves what he's doing. So just keep on enjoying it. I'm still enjoying it after nearly 50 years in the business, so you've got a few to catch up yet.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you.
Alastair Campbell from The Rest is Politics, hello.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good.
Are you enjoying this radio event?
Yeah. I mean, awards are not I don't die for awards.
Okay.
And I'm doing another awards tomorrow night, the Sport Industry Awards, where I'm presenting one there as well. So I think when you get to 67, you've sort of morphed from unemployed antichrist to sort of trainee national treasure. You get asked to do a lot. I think that's kind of where I am now.
That's
yeah,
good.
I think it's it's quite an interesting phenomenon. Yeah.
We talk about sort of swapping sides there.
Yeah.
Obviously, you used to put people on news shows, interview shows. Now you interview big stars, big politicians yourself.
Yeah.
In retrospect, do you think they had a harder job than you thought back then?
No, I actually think the landscape has changed a lot. I think journalism has morphed into something not quite as good. I think we need more long-form interviews and we need more kind of in-depth stuff. I think the success of our podcast is largely explained by people wanting greater depth on political coverage. And also wanting, even if they will say, oh, I don't like politicians, they're all the same, they actually do want to hear them and they want to know them a bit better than they do. So, no, I think if I actually go back to the kind of black and white days, John Freeman style interviews, I think that's what we're trying to get closer to that and away from what's the story, what's the line, what are the headline. Rory and I genuinely don't care about making news out of the interviews. And I think once the interviewee knows that, they kind of maybe relax a bit more.
We've conquered podcasts. Obviously, old chum Piers Morgan doing pretty well on the YouTubes.
Is that what he does these days?
Apparently so.
Okay, I've not heard from him for a long time.
Don't fancy swapping the radio mic for a camera more often?
Well, we do both.
Yeah,
we do them both. So we do film them, and often we film them on laptops. And so again, I think what we're trying to do is just. I hate the word authentic because it gets overused with talking about people like Nigel Farage when he's about as authentic as Donald Trump's makeup. But I don't kind of think about them as either or. I think they're both part of the same thing. In the end, the important thing is the content. Is it a good interview? Is it a good podcast? Did you have a good discussion? So, yeah.
So you've done a live tour for Rest is Politics, obviously election live stream. What are the plans for the next 12 months? What do you want to tackle?
We are going to do another tour towards the end of the year. We're developing the whole kind of membership stream by doing interviews that maybe wouldn't necessarily, go to the wider audience, but real specialist, quite specialist stuff. But we're just enjoying it. It's interesting. It keeps my brain going. It means that I probably read and think more than I otherwise might. And I've always, Fiona, my partner, finds this hard to take, but I'm on the record, and it's true, saying I will never retire. So it's just a way of keeping busy.
Alastair Campbell, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So talkSPORT's just won a Judges Award. One of the judges was Bob Shannon. Previously a sort of competitor for talkSPORT. Why did they win this award?
I think it's really obvious. I mean, apart from the fact that they're a quarter of a century old, it's a landmark, and if you've been around for that long in this business, then there's something significant that you've contributed to it. But I also think what really swung it for me was talkSPORT is enjoying the best time of its broadcasting life in terms of reach and audience appreciation, and it just felt like the two things coming together. It was the right thing for the Academy to recognise their contribution and their success.
Liam, you're the boss of talkSPORT. Were you surprised to be dragged on stage?
I was just saying, completely. I didn't even know, even to the point when we were sort of sat, everyone was looking at me from my fellow people from talkSPORT going, who's going up to accept the award and stuff. It was a huge honour. To get it from Bob means so much as well, because absolutely he's been on sort of the other side of the divide, so to speak, but has always been, saying very nice things about talkSPORT, and particularly recently. So to get it from somebody external with the calibre of Bob is a huge honour from the Radio Academy.
What's the key to 25 years of success?
Just perseverance, Matt.
Carry on.
Exactly. Just cling on. Look, I think the journey has been quite long, and we've gone from hotel rooms broadcasting football matches for the very well documented kind of stories to doing countless tournaments now and being official. And we just won a Sports Journalism Awards a couple of months ago for our Olympic coverage against the BBC. First time we've ever done the Olympics. So we're sort of taking on new challenges, never staying still, but also that trueness of character, like the personality. You sort of know who these people are. That's the beauty always of audio, is you know who Chris Evans is, or you know who, the legends, Ken Bruce, and that. You sort of feel like you know them. You want to let them into your house, into your car. And it's the same with our guys, the Alan Brazils and Natalie Sawyer and Jim White, who's here tonight as well. You want that kind of connection. That's what we try and bring out of people.
And also, amazing RAJAR figures.
Yeah, they're absolutely brilliant. Yeah, really, you always kind of hope for the best, prepare for the worst, as they say with these things. But we'd had a good period, so you sort of felt like if we get the win behind us, we'll be okay. So really pleased with the numbers. I mean, it's just it's a phenomenal set.
Are we saying best ever?
It is the best ever. So yeah, here we go. I've got the best down now. Best ever for talkSPORT, best ever for talkSPORT 2, best ever for Network. It's some of the best hours we've ever had as well. So records, countless shows have hit records as well. So a really, really strong book for us.
And we knew that was going to happen, of course. So that's why it was the obvious thing to give
the stars have aligned. Yeah.
An excellent double win. Congratulations to you and the team. David Olusoga's just joined us, just off stage. Historian, podcaster, media club listener, all the best things. Celebrity Traitors participant.
That's out now, isn't it?
Yes,
I can admit to
released.
that now.
So, how's the new podcast going?
It's fascinating. I'm slightly late to the podcast party. I've been sort of watching it develop and choosing my moments, but it's exciting. It's exciting to learn a new medium. I began as a radio producer when I was 27, and so it is rather wonderful to come back to audio.
What's special about that relationship with listeners? Because there is something there, isn't there? That connects, that brings them closer to the topics. You're in there. You're really in their heads.
There really is, and I don't want to put down TV. That's been very kind to me and been my living for a long time. But I began, as I said, as a radio producer, and I've had so many conversations over the years about programs I made, and often my programs on the World Service, and my family in Nigeria would hear those programs. And there is something unique about audio and its ability to become, not just to speak to people's minds, but also to become part of their lives. The habituation of audio. That's what doesn't surprise me about podcasts. I was someone brought up in Radio 4. The meter and rhythm of my life was Radio 4. the meat and rhythm of my life now is podcasts and Radio 4. There's something habitual about audio as well as something intimate.
Was it sad to miss all that audio up in Scotland?
I was otherwise detained.
Yes.
I had no bandwidth for anything else while in Scotland.
I know you probably can't really talk about it, but was it a very enjoyable affair?
It was amazing, but there's not much I can say.
Okay.
Claudia is terrifying, as you will have noticed.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you, I guess, on BBC One in the autumn, and the podcast available in all normal places. Thank you very much. Right, just enough time for the Audio Network Media Quiz. Joining me, MD of the Radio Academy, Aradhna, and now, very exciting, Station of the Year winner, Sam Jackson from BBC Radio 3. And this week it's entitled, I Would Like to Thank. Away from the ARIAS, there's been a few other winners in the media world this week, but can you name them from these entirely fictional acceptance speeches? And remarkably, Alex Audio Networks has taken that very slight brief and come up with some great music to accompany today's game. Right, best of three. Buzz in with your name if you know the answer. So Aradhna, you will say Aradhna. Sam, you will say Sam. And let's play I Would Like to Thank. Right, here we go. I would like to thank Gwyneth Hughes, Joe from Hampshire, Lee from Bridlington, Jazz and Samson.
That'll be ITV.
Yes, because they won a special BAFTA award for Commissioner Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. Those are obviously some of the sub-postmasters. They've been every award ceremony this year. I think they've probably got an award each. Okay, right. Okay, question number 2. I would like to thank Lorne Michaels, the commissioners at Sky, for providing a very focused target to achieve greatness. Lorne Michaels, famous TV producer in America, makes a show on a Saturday night, might be coming to the UK. Sam, Saturday Night Live coming to the UK. Basically, too, but yes. Yes, so Saturday Night Live going to the UK, only for 6 episodes. It's going to be quite tough for them to try and build a series in that short time. Do you think they can do it?
Well, it's got a brand recognition already, hasn't it? So everyone knows what it is, even if we haven't had it in the UK. So they've got a good shot.
It's not quite a reboot, but it's sort of telly that's not a lot of big new creative ideas there. Isn't it? Yeah. American heritage. Okay, question number 3. I would like to thank local councils, health authorities, police and crime commissioners, and regional mayoralties for generating such incredible stories. Maybe something you heard this morning, Sam, up in Salford. See, I got up at 4:15, it went over my head. BG talking about expanding something or wanting to expand that. He talks a lot about truth. Sam, truth. No. Local news and yes. What you're trying to say is like more democracy reporters, more funding for the local democracy reporters.
Saw that from my house.
I'll call that a very weak goal. You get a special ARIA each for not quite winning that competition. Thank you both.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for watching as well. Remember, we're here every week for the Media Club. You can catch us on all your favourite podcast apps, on YouTube as well. Thank you to Audio Networks for sponsoring the quiz. I was the host, Matt Deegan. The producer was Matt Hill. It was a Rethink audio production with video support from Podcast Discovery. I'll see you next week.